Guys, welcome to the Runner Back podcast. This is different for us. We're going to run straight into a recap podcast of UFC 246. Our co-host Snags, Sugar Snags as he likes to be known, couldn't make it tonight. He wanted me to tell the audience that he was holidaying in Barbados, but we all know that's bullshit. So we're just going to run into it. Hey boys, huge card tonight. I fell asleep at one stage, but I'm glad our boy Conor McGregor brought us back with the huge win in the last. But we're going to go through this card. Craig, do you have the card in front of you, Craig? Do you want to run through
I'll get it up right now.
Yeah, get the results up. Do you want to run us through just the results from the card and if we've got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, main card, first fight on there was Anthony Pettis, Carlos Diego Ferreira. And Ferreira said he wanted to test Anthony Pettis' grappling skills, and he did. He won by submission in the second round.
And the only bloke on the podcast that actually took that.
Yeah, I was feeling it, and also Anthony Pettis is a crapshoot. He's like he's a coin flip, and this is the dude he knocked out Wonderboy Thompson, and I think now his record in the UFC falls to 9 wins and 9 losses, which is not the start that you would expect from Anthony Pettis.
Incredibly underwhelming performance tonight as well. Not only was it a loss, at no point did he look like he was in a winning position, which is the most disappointing thing.
He didn't look like he was awake. It was bizarre.
Does he fall out of the top 10 after this? I'd have to think so.
Oh, lightweight, mate. Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at the lightweight rankings earlier in the day, and it's a killer. Like he has to drop out, I think.
I think the cool thing about the UFC though, it doesn't really matter. He's got star power. People actually buy tickets because they want to see Anthony Pettis fight. So. I don't think it's going to do too much to his credibility, but it might do a little bit to his rankings.
His next fight, though, like honestly, if he shows up like this again, one fight down the line, I can't see that star. He can't rely on the Showtime kick forever. If he does a performance like this one more down the track, I think he's in a bit of trouble.
Honestly, I think he becomes that fighter that the up and comers get to make a name for himself. I think that's now Anthony Pettis for life.
Start calling out Anthony Pettis for your wins.
Yeah, 100%. And this bantamweight fight, which is the replacement fight for the unfortunate misweight of the fight that we're really looking for when you look back at the podcast. I think we're all excited about the Claudia fight, and Alex didn't make weight.
No, it was a big weight loss too, a weight miss as well, 5.5 pounds above the 125 pound limit, a 126 pound limit.
I'm surprised in Vegas that you can't get away with that weight difference.
Oh, and Claudia accepted the fight as well. She said, "I want this fight." They both accepted it.
It's like a 30% pay difference or something like that. That's what was.
Yeah. I think it scales depending on how much you miss weight. And I posted a tweet about it, talking about how this kind of thing had happened before a couple of times in Vegas, and one time, and I think that this might be on UFC management. If you know a fighter's going to miss weight, get them to weigh in first. And if they weigh in first heavy, the other fighter, they still want that fight and they know the fight's going to get cancelled, they can rehydrate a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And that has happened in the past where fighters have rehydrated to be within the allowable limit. It's kind of dodgy, but I think if you want the fight to go, I think Claudia Gadelha would have rather fought a heavy opponent on a Conor McGregor card with a chance to win in front of Conor McGregor buy rate. I think she would have rather that's such a huge, you can't calculate the amount of money that she's missed out on this. She gets her show money. It's very, very nice. I had her winning that fight, so that would have been her win money. And then the star power for winning, perhaps impressively, on a Conor McGregor card. You can't appreciate that.
Yeah, wow. And how did you see the bantamweight fight?
I thought it was a fantastic fight. Nice and quick. Obviously, I think O'Day Osborne came out hard. O'Day Osborne versus Brian Kelleher came out. He's striking. He looked so fast, and the commentators were commenting on it as well. Brian Kelleher did what he needed to do, took him down and submitted him early. I thought it was a good, fast, pretty indicative of what a bantamweight fight in the UFC looks like nowadays.
Yeah, I think the cool thing was all my money was on Osborne. I was reloading my multi as we went. Like the way he just pressured in that fight, I just thought he had enough to get going. But Kelleher was his pressure was immense. So
it was a good choice by him to pushing against the cage. The commentators were ragging on him for getting in the position that he got in, but the cage ended up becoming a bit of an assistance too.
As soon as he locked up those legs, there was nothing. So it was a good win. Anyway, I won't spend too much time on that fight. This heavyweight fight, which we talked heavily on the podcast, nearly went the way we talked about on the podcast.
I think I was the only one that got it wrong in the end. I thought Maurice Green was a chance with the sneaky sub, and we had a lot of back and forth in the group chat, Craig, but ultimately your man prevailed.
I'm not going to lie. I did pucker a little bit a couple of times when Maurice Green threw up his legs. I was like, oh, please don't let this happen. Please, not to my Olenek.
Was there a Kimura or an Americana? There was something in there that got me a little excited. I thought maybe this is the moment, but not to be.
The Kimura was close. The triangle was close. I didn't realize how tall Maurice Green was until he was standing next to the cage. I was like, dude's like head and shoulders above that cage. 6'7", I think. And it's mostly legs as well. So
he's paying 31 for the sub, and I've got a theory in the UFC. If anything's paying over 8, you've got to put money on it. And Roxanne come through for me in the undercard, but Maurice,
let's not talk about that.
Hang your head in shame, Maurice Green.
We're not talking about.
I think expecting Maurice Green to submit Alexei Olenek, it's a big ask, especially like 12 fights into his UFC, into his MMA run. Beautiful submission from Alexei Olenek, though.
I was desperate not to see Snags get his Von Flue choke, which I think he had for a brief second in that fight.
It looked like he might have been setting it up. I think he used it as a transition to his scarf hold choke, which is one of his favorites as well.
Joe Rogan was getting extremely aroused over that scarf. He even mentioned it in the interview in the ring. So he was like, "Oh, how close were you to getting that scarf hold?" And even the boy Lesky was saying, "I don't think it was that close. His arms were burnt." So anyway, going into our co-main. Holly Holmes versus Raquel Pennington, which was an absolute snooze fest. I don't know. Me and Stoney watched it together. Craig, how did that fight look from your end?
It looked a lot like my Twitter app on my phone. That's what it looked like to me.
I think we predicted this. If any listeners are out there, listen to the MMA predictions for the Run It Back 246. Craig and myself certainly said, let's just make it through to the main event, and that's exactly how this fight went.
Holly Holm has had a total of one exciting fight in the UFC. It just so happened to be the number one fight against Ronda Rousey. But, I mean, her first fight in the UFC was against Raquel Pennington, and it was a jab fest. Every fight that she had in MMA in the UFC, she only had a couple before Ronda Rousey, but they were jab fests.
Let's just cut it off right there. DL, take us into the main event, mate.
The big one, boys. And I know it's a recap podcast and this is the first one we've done, but I think it still needs a little bit of... It's time! Huge fight. The goosebumps were arousing. It was fantastic. I think in the theatre, me and Stoney are watching it together. We were up and about. Stoney, thoughts on the fight? Just your initial thoughts on the fight before you saw the result.
One word. Before I saw the result?
Yeah.
Nervous. Nervous coming into the fight. There was so much to gain and so much to lose for Conor. The fights that this opened up with a win is enormous. What become of Conor if he had have had a loss? I don't want to go there. We celebrated with a proper 12. We cracked that at around midday.
Beautiful.
Kragos, over to you. How did you find the fight?
It reminded me a lot of my first time. It was over quickly, but I was still very, very happy with the result. Honestly, guys, pre-fight, I felt the exact same. I got very, very excited. I even shot a message in the group chat. Conor walking out, he looked good.
He looked calm.
He's looked good all week.
Super calm.
Yeah.
The eyes in Conor in the Khabib fight, he looked a little cloudy. He looked a little distracted, and it made me nervous. Him coming out like that, obviously, Conor starts explosively. Donald starts lethargically. Typically, it all kind of went way of Conor, and it was. I promised myself I wouldn't give Conor any more chances. But I'm so excited. I'm so happy, man. Conor fight week, there's nothing like it, man.
Yeah, I think the same thing is when you get that feeling when Conor walks out, you get buzzed about it, you get excited about it, you see him in the ring, he's super calm. There was no billionaire strut, which is, I really like that. He's talked about it being a season campaign. So 2020 is a season campaign for Conor. Wanted to treat Cerrone with as much as respect as possible, but he had a game plan. as you can see, as he launched out after the fight had started, he missed that first punch, right? But even when you look at it, he jumped at him. He still got a little bit of knee, and then he put the work in. He's like, this is a new skill. I'm going to drop the level, and I'm going to give him this shoulder. How'd you see those shoulders?
Those shoulder strikes, my God.
How many shoulder strikes do you see in the UFC that actually disrupt the fighter that much? Because Donald was scattered.
Yeah.
And it's such a Conor McGregor thing to do. Something so simple as shoulder blocks. And that just changed the whole concept of that fight. And talk about Conor McGregor changing the game. Something as simple as shoulder blocks completely setting up a destruction. It was fascinating. I label that entire performance as flawless.
To me, the Conor McGregor shoulder strikes, it joins Travis Brown's defending the takedown elbow to the side of the head and John Jones' side kick to the knee. I think that you can't defend it because it's such a rare technique that comes in, and it completely caught Cowboy off guard. And then that head kick was beautiful. And once the head kick landed, the fight was done. It was pretty much over.
And how about that? Cowboy Cerrone, most head kick knockouts in UFC history. How's the irony? Conor McGregor drops him with a head kick. Who would have predicted that?
He wanted that. It's like he's going, I know what he can do, but I'm going to do it to him.
Better.
He's done flying kicks and he's done flying knees. When's the last time McGregor landed a really hard head kick, like a high kick? I might be completely wrong here. I just can't. It's his left hand and his other styles, and he does the running knee normally to start the fight. I can't recall like a head kick coming out and dropping an opponent.
I loved it. It
was a long time. It was sorry to cut you off, DL. Even the follow-up knee, which in real time I thought missed, but in retrospect, that connected beautifully. And then the shotgun of a left. I know we talk about it.
That left, it was always going to be there. It was there. And I couldn't believe in the when Joe was talking to Cerrone in the end in the cage, that eye had blown right up. It was black.
He was busted.
So I'm like, mate, he's
I'm worried
really taking it.
We have a Rory McDonald nose situation going on with Donald Cerrone. That's two fights in a row that his nose is just completely blown out on him.
Yeah, shout out to the ref too with Herb. He really held off with that fight. He had a chance to stop that fight. And he chose the right way. Stan, you got something on that?
Leading into that fight, DL was in the theatre saying, Herb, do not stop this early. And Herb must have heard him because he gave Donald every chance to recover.
I think Conor, there was a couple of times there, I think maybe Conor turned his head slightly to Herb and go, I'm killing this bloke. I'm killing this bloke. I really like Donald. I don't want to hurt him anymore. So
something else that DL's being incredibly modest. $1.04 Sportsbet were paying out for the billionaire strut, and DL turned to me at around 1:30 and said, look, I don't think he's going to do it. And I jumped on to see the odds, and they weren't offering it for Conor not to do that. But shout out to DL. You called it 2 hours before the fight.
Yeah, the Sportsbet bring your own bets closed off before we get a chance to submit that one. So maybe next time, Sportsbet, maybe next time. But what do you think's next for Conor on this? Now it's sort of opened up. It's pretty obvious the people that are out there. Statman, who do you think's out there for Conor next?
Pre-fight, all I wanted was Conor McGregor versus Justin Gaethje. I think that is a violent fight to happen at lightweight. All I want now, Conor McGregor, Jorge Masvidal. I need it. Inject it into me. I need it now.
It's hot.
Holy shit.
It's hot. Do you know what surprised me? He called out Paul Felder behind the desk.
What a weird call out.
Was this the highlight of Paul Felder's career? He was acting like, you can get some, but deep down he's nervous. He's never been called out by someone to this level. And you're not going to get it, Paul. Sit down.
Dan Hooker's going to fuck Paul Felder right up in New Zealand. Why would Conor even look that way? But, there might have been some little bit of UFC.
Maybe he's talking about Joe. Everyone just assumes it was Paul Felder. Maybe he's picking a bone with Joe.
Joe's come back. Oh, look, for personally...
John Anik owes him some money or some shit.
For me, the Masvidal fight is the most exciting one. Look, if you want to look beyond that, and I think he needs to beat Masvidal before he goes to Usman, because I think the triple belt thing is really exciting, and I think Dana White was basically exploding when he saw Conor take out Cowboy in 40 seconds. The Usman fight or the Masvidal fight excites me the most. I would love to see the Masvidal fight because it doesn't matter if he loses that fight. Obviously, I don't want to see him lose that fight, but it doesn't do anything for him because they'll probably make it a BMF or something, or Masvidal will go, hey, there's only one belt. I'll put my belt up for the fight, and we'll go from there. So I don't know. Stoney, what do you reckon?
Look, holding true to my 2020 predictions, look, I still think he drops back down. I think the Khabib fight's next. I think he takes that. And then in the meantime, Jorge Masvidal defeats Kamaru Usman for the belt. And then we see in December, Conor, Jorge. And I think Stoney's 2020 prediction is looking pretty good at this rate.
Yeah, well, my 2020 predictions
3
already
fights,
looking a bit
3
rough.
belts, retired.
I had Macy Barber as breakout fighter, but if you do
Bless.
your ACL,
Bless.
if you do your ACL, it's always going to be hard. Anyway, thanks, boys. I know this is a quick run it back podcast, but this is just a quick recap on 246. If you like what we're doing, jump on all our socials, like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do. My name is Daniel.
Stoney.
My name is the Statman.
And quietly, the Statman, 4-0 tonight on
Well
the
done, Statman.
podcast. So
No solo clapping
Well
here.
done, Statman. Shout out to Sugar Snags. Has been doing lovely work on social tonight. Got 25,000 interactions with his tweet tonight, so he's up and about. But he's joined Barbados. Quite lovely. Anyway, thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the next Run It Back podcast.
Ciao.